Once upon a time, in a kingdom surrounded by emerald forests and crystal-clear rivers, there lived a princess named Elara. Elara was known across the lands not for her wealth, her beauty, or her royal blood, but for her unparalleled kindness. She would often wander outside the castle walls, speaking to villagers, helping children, and feeding the stray animals that roamed the kingdom. Her heart was so pure that even the birds of the kingdom would come to her whenever she called.
Thank you, thank you.
She loved the soft chirping of the sparrows and the gentle flutter of the doves that rested upon her shoulders. Despite living in a palace filled with gold and jewels, Elara found joy in the simplest things, a flower blooming in the garden or a child's laughter. One day, as Elara walked through the market disguised in a simple cloak, she noticed a commotion near the fountain. A crowd had gathered, whispering in fear and curiosity about a strange woman selling birds in cages. The woman's eyes were dark and cold, and her smile was sharp and unsettling, like a knife hidden behind silk.
Keep your hands away from
Elara
my birds,
approached the crowd
princess.
quietly,
They are
her
not
curiosity
for the likes
stronger
of
than her
you.
caution.
I wasn't
The
going to
woman,
hurt
noticing
them.
Elara,
Keep
bowed
your
mockingly
hands away
and
from
said,
my
"Do you
birds,
wish to see the
princess.
finest
They
birds
are
of the
not
land,
for the
princess?"
likes of you.
Elara's
I
heart
wasn't
ached at
going
the
to
sight
hurt
of the
them.
caged birds. They fluttered desperately, their eyes filled with longing for freedom. She asked softly, "Why are these birds caged? Why don't they fly freely under the sun?" The woman laughed, a chilling sound that made the villagers step back in fear. "These birds are my property," the woman said. "I have captured them from the skies and tamed them for profit." Elara's eyes filled with tears. She could not bear the sight of creatures suffering in chains. "I cannot allow this," she whispered to herself, her voice trembling with determination. The woman tilted her head, intrigued. "And what can a kind princess do against a witch who has been feared for decades?" Elara stepped forward, her hand outstretched toward the nearest cage. The woman hissed, "Do not touch them. If you dare, you will face consequences you cannot imagine." Elara's courage did not waver. No creature deserves to live in fear, no matter what power you possess. The crowd gasped. Some whispered that the princess was brave, while others feared that she would be destroyed by the witch's magic. The witch's eyes darkened, and a shadow seemed to stretch from her figure, twisting around the cages like black smoke. "You speak of freedom, yet you have never known fear or pain," the witch spat. Elara lowered her gaze but whispered to the birds, "Hold on, little ones. Help is coming." Suddenly, a small sparrow, braver than the rest, pecked at the cage and broke a lock with a loud click. The birds chirped in delight and fluttered their wings against their cages, testing their strength. Elara smiled softly, her heart swelling with hope and love for these fragile lives. The witch's face twisted in anger. "How dare these creatures obey a mere child of nobility?" Elara's voice grew stronger. "I am not a child, and I am not alone. Love and kindness are stronger than fear and cruelty." The wind seemed to answer her words, rustling the leaves and carrying the birds' joyful songs into the air. The witch waved her hand, and a dark cloud swirled around her, trying to capture the birds in shadow. But the birds were free, their hearts lifted by Elara's courage, and they flew past the dark magic, chirping defiantly. Elara took a deep breath, focusing her energy not on hate, but on compassion. She whispered an ancient prayer that she had learned from the palace librarian, words meant to protect and heal. A soft light emanated from her hands, spreading warmth and comfort through the marketplace. The witch screamed, recoiling from the pure light, her power unable to withstand the force of genuine love. "I cannot. I cannot," the witch cried, her voice cracking like ice under the sun. The light grew brighter, touching the cages, melting the iron bars as if they were made of wax. One by one, the cages fell apart, freeing the trapped birds who soared high above, their wings shimmering in the sunlight. The villagers cheered, their fear turning into awe and admiration for the princess who had saved them all. The witch, now powerless, fell to her knees, her robes tattered, her magic gone. Elara approached the fallen witch cautiously, not with anger, but with compassion in her eyes. "Why do you harm the innocent?" Elara asked gently. "Was it fear? Loneliness? Pain?" The witch shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I was angry at the world. I thought capturing others' freedom would make me strong. Elara extended her hand. It is never too late to change. Power without love is nothing. True strength comes from kindness. The witch looked at the princess's hand, hesitant, but slowly took it, trembling. In that moment, a warmth spread through her, melting the coldness that had filled her heart for decades. The villagers watched in astonishment as the witch, once feared, began to weep openly, her dark magic dissipating. Elara smiled softly. You can choose a new path. Help those in need instead of causing them pain. The witch nodded, a newfound humility in her eyes. I will try. I will try. The princess turned to the birds, who had returned to perch on her shoulders and arms, singing their joyous songs. You are free now, she whispered. Fly high, live happily, and never forget that kindness always prevails. The witch, seeing the birds fly freely, felt a strange warmth in her chest, a sense of liberation she had never known. Elara returned to the castle that evening, her heart light, knowing that she had saved not only the birds but also a soul lost in darkness. Days turned into weeks, and the witch began helping the villagers, teaching them to care for animals and to protect the forests. Though the villagers were cautious at first, they soon recognized the change in her, and gratitude replaced fear. Elara often visited the market, sometimes finding the witch tending to flowers and feeding stray animals, her eyes no longer filled with malice. The princess and the witch, once enemies, became friends, working together to bring happiness and peace to the kingdom. Birds of every color and kind now roamed freely across the skies, filling the kingdom with music and joy. Children would gather around the princess, learning about compassion and courage from her words and deeds. The witch, who once brought fear wherever she went, now inspired hope and kindness in everyone she met. Elara's reputation as a kind and brave princess spread far beyond the kingdom, drawing travelers who wished to learn the true meaning of love and courage. Even the stars seemed to shine brighter over the castle at night, as if celebrating the triumph of kindness over cruelty. Years passed, and Elara's heart remained as pure and compassionate as ever. She had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. The witch, now known as Myril, devoted her life to helping creatures in need and teaching children that love and kindness were the most powerful magic of all. Elara and Myril would often sit together, watching the sunset, talking about dreams, hopes, and the future of the kingdom. The kingdom thrived, not because of wealth or armies, but because its people learned the lessons of compassion and courage. Birds of every kind became a symbol of freedom, joy, and hope in every home, reminding everyone of the princess who saved them. The villagers often told stories of the day the kind princess faced the feared witch and changed the course of fate with nothing but love in her heart. Even the forests seemed to hum with life, as if they remembered the day darkness was transformed into light. Elara would sometimes close her eyes and feel the wind in her hair, listening to the birds sing, knowing that love could heal even the deepest wounds. Myril, once a creature of darkness, now found joy in giving, realizing that true power lay in lifting others rather than dominating them. Together, they organized festivals where people and animals celebrated together, a living testament to the harmony that kindness could create. The story of the princess and the witch became a legend, told for generations to inspire bravery, empathy, and hope in the hearts of young and old alike. Even when Elara grew older, her spirit never faded, her heart remained forever bound to the creatures she loved and the people she served. Myril, too, aged gracefully, her heart lighter than it had ever been, carrying the knowledge that redemption was always possible. Birds would flock to the castle windows, singing songs that seemed to tell the story of that fateful day when love overcame fear. The kingdom became a sanctuary not just for people, but for all living beings, a place where every creature could live without fear. Elara and Myril's friendship stood as proof that even the deepest darkness could be illuminated by the light of compassion. On quiet nights, they would walk through the gardens, sharing stories of past mistakes and lessons learned, smiling at the beauty of life around them. The villagers, inspired by their leaders, embraced a culture of caring, generosity, and courage that would last for centuries. And so, the kind princess and the bird-selling witch, who had once been foes, became symbols of hope and love, teaching the world that no heart is beyond change. The birds continued to fly freely, singing songs of gratitude, their voices echoing through valleys, forests, and villages far and wide. Every creature, big or small, learned the meaning of freedom and trust, and the kingdom flourished in peace and happiness. Elara's legend reached lands beyond the seas, reminding rulers and commoners alike that true power lies not in wealth or magic, but in the heart. The witch, now a wise and gentle woman, wrote books and tales for children, sharing her story of redemption and the transformative power of love. Even after Elara's time had passed, statues and murals were built in her honor, depicting her gentle smile, her outstretched hand, and the birds that symbolized hope. Generations grew up hearing the story of the princess and the witch, learning that courage combined with kindness could change the world. The kingdom remained a beacon of hope, a place where love triumphed over cruelty, and every bird in the sky was a reminder of that day of liberation. And so, the legacy of the kind princess and the bird-selling witch lived on, eternal as the skies, eternal as the songs of the free birds that soared above the land.